Hello everyone, today we want to present our topic that is changes in the media during the war. Before we want to start, let me know you. My name is Ifan Shafika binti Suhaimi and my metric number is 69879. Okay, talking about the media, we know it not clear from its history that it has passed through several important phases of human life. For decades and even thousands of years ago, the history of growth and development was there. Media exists as a result of so-called communication. Media and communication are inseparable from each other, the existence of which is interrelated. Media also is all the forms and channels used to convey information or messages. So, the introduction. We want to describe the definition and the changes in the media, and then explains the development of media during wartime. Next is practice on the topic in the media politic perspective, and last, media is the role during the war. Okay, I want to pass the next point to my group members.
Next, I'm going to define our topic, that is changes in the media during wartime. During the Civil War, the military often kept the reporters off the battlefields. 50 years later, when the United States of America entered the First World War, the military had the authority over all radio, communications, and censored all photographs. When the World War II was triggered, it has brought the creation of Military Office of Censorship. If the media or press wanted to access, they had to apply for credentials from the office. Clashes are unavoidable when these two institutions meet during a conflict, especially during wartime. The media wants freedom, no censorship, complete access, and the ability to get their stories out to their audiences rapidly, while military, on the other hand, wants power and control. The media are equally important to civilians during wartime. Media is used as sources from which information, interpretations, and images of war are acquired, either in addition to or exchanged for. Television news is often criticized for being sensational, driven by entertainment considerations, and led by images to the harm of analysis and context. Rather than assisting our understanding of what war is really like, television perhaps shrinks its reality. In conclusion, the conflicts during wartime have liberally demonstrated that the media, apparently non-state actors, have become an important party in many international conflicts. And while the means and objectives of waging war have changed dramatically during the last decade, the media itself also has experienced a dramatic transformation.
Thank you, Michelle, for your explanation. Now I will explain about the development of media during wartime. There are four stages of media development during wartime. The first one is the traditional media. It is the oldest one among the other three. This kind of media can be said as storytelling, practices of society, and music of a culture. As an example, all the war that being told in the history books were also part from the storytelling from the previous generations to the next generations. As the days getting better with a helpful of machines, the printed media was being used during wartime, such like newspapers, flyers, and books. People used this media to convey a message. As an example, during colonial times, Japan used a slogan, Asians for Asians, and spread the slogan in the newspaper in order to win Tanah Melayu people's heart. In short, a printed media can influence people's decisions and thoughts. As the technology advances, the electronic broadcasting media such as radio, news on televisions, also being used during wartime. This media will help people to be more understand with the message given. As an example, during the old days, radio were being used as a tool to know where was the location of Japanese troops at that time in Semenanjung Tanah Melayu, so that other people were reminded to stay at home for their own safety. In the 21st century, the digital media such as blogs and online news also being introduced as it can spread information in a faster way, but it could be dangerous also as nowadays many issues of misinformation news that been posted, and this could lead to a war between countries just like United States and Iraq in 2003, where Iraq was being accused of keeping weapons to attack the US, but after the investigation have been done, there was no weapons were found.
The media has played a major role during the war period. The media is seen as a means of relaying information and knowledge to the public. In the context of media practice during the war days of Malaysia, the media was portrayed in the favor of the colonizers. The deception that the outsiders have put by influencing the minds of the local people during the war days, the most memorable colonizers that have been imprinted in the nation history would be by the British and Japanese party. Through the media form of music, movie and the news, the minds of the people have been subjected to the views of the foreigners. Now, we move on to how the Japanese become favorable to the Malays during the colonization period. The slogan Asian for Asian is one of the most ingenious ideas from the Japanese troops to ease the invasion into the Malaya scene that was filled with British party at the time. The slogan was the start of a persuasion towards the Malaysian citizen. Trusts were built between the two, and the people were convinced by the promises made by the Japanese. The Japanese culture were implemented when they took over, including music, movies, and printed media during the period of colonizing. Now, in the modern society, there has been a new addition of media besides the conventional media, the digital media. The digital media has slowly been replacing the conventional media and has now reached its peak of popularity. News are updated on an hourly basis. Entertainment, economics, and political news are at the tip of our fingers. In the international scene, the media cooperation is not tied by the government restriction and therefore more transparent towards voicing out and covering stories. For instance, we look at the recent case of January 2020 in which the United States and Iran on the brink of war. The media has been following the whole journey and has made a timeline of the whole journey. The media has taken a neutral and even a negative stance in terms of the issue covered, making the story to also feel detached, and some even repelled against the decision made by the government. The influence of the media is not direct. It is the perception that politicians have of its effect that can have considerable repercussions on the onset and ending of war. In the modern Malaysian context, the Malaysian media has been heavily one-sided, mostly leading to the government's political ideas. The Sedition Act 1948 has restricted the citizen from discussing and criticizing the political views of some politicians in the country. This has made it difficult to openly discuss about the context of politics in the open. No criticism is allowed against the ruling party of the country as it will be deemed breaking the law and will be deemed inciting a revolt. The media is no doubt an essential part in the Malaysian culture. Mass communication has transformed and progressed civil society, influencing every aspect of the culture by directing the will and opinion of the people. Censorship has been limiting the control and power of the media. The minds of the people have been shaped by what government wishes for us to follow. The power of persuasion by the media depends on what the government wishes us to know. As such, generally there will be only one opinion that will be available for public consumption.
Okay, the conclusion is media have influenced people's development for 100 years during the war. Media still gives benefit until today, and also media bring life lessons from war to people realize the importance of the historical knowledge in our own country. I think that's all from our group. Thank you.